In a world where everything is ranked and everyone is trying to be number one, the story begins on Academy Island, where the transfer student Hiroto Shinohara addresses the school as the newest 7-star student. As he introduces himself, he arrogantly declares that he's better than everyone, challenging the other students to take him on. However, this is revealed to be a lie, and immediately after his speech, he starts to panic, wondering what he should do next. Hiroto checks his phone, as he realizes that everyone now views him as a loser, which makes him feel overwhelmed. We learn that the students' ranks are determined by the number of stars they collect, and the most efficient way to acquire stars is by playing games against other students, so the authorities recommend this method to reach the coveted rank of 7 stars. Hiroto reveals that he doesn't even want to become a 7-star student, so he wonders why this is happening to him. A few hours earlier, Hiroto got lost while he was looking for the academy, and a beautiful girl named Sarsa caught his eyes, so he called up to her, asking for directions. She tells him he is in the wrong district, as she checks his phone, pointing at his academy's location. Sarsa tells him not to be so formal, since they are both in the 2nd year, revealing that his device displays his academy information to those with a higher rank. Hiroto said he skipped the tutorial, so Sarsa gives him an introduction, explaining that the phone has its own social media app called Stock, which he can use to communicate with the other students. She teaches him how to send a game request and leads him to the right district, but she realizes that it's time for her to return to her academy, so she bids him farewell. However, as she walks away, the sprinkler suddenly sprays water at her. This makes her upset, as she wonders if Hiroto planned this, accusing him of leading her on. Hiroto tries to deny this, but Sarsa interrupts him, saying he is trying to take advantage of her. She challenges him to a game, which he accepts, telling her to listen to him when it's over. Sarsa tells him to send a game request, since the request must come from the lower-ranked player, and he complies, but he wasn't able to set the game details. Sarsa explains that the lower-ranked player gets to pick the game, so they aren't disadvantaged, but Hiroto sent her a blank request, so he must think he can beat her at anything, but this isn't the case, since Hiroto didn't even know how to use the device. Because of this, Sarsa picks the game, and she chooses to have a turn-based staring contest with him, where the player who has any form of reaction loses. Sarsa explains that during each turn, a player gets to make an expression in an attempt to make the opponent react, and Hiroto is ready to start right away, which surprises Sarsa because he didn't even set an ability. She explains that abilities can heavily influence the game, so she thinks Hiroto isn't taking her seriously. Hiroto has 1 minute to get her to react, but Sarsa uses her time manipulation ability to reduce it to 10 seconds. This surprises him, and his turn is over before he can even do anything. Sarsa uses another ability, creating a beam sword, which she uses to attack him, trying to make him show his exhaustion, and we see other students start to watch their game. Sarsa is glad her clothes are drying off, but the sprinkler suddenly sprays at her again, which makes her sword disappear as her clothes get wet again. Sarsa reveals she was about to have her orientation ceremony, and she was meant to give a speech as the academy representative, but she thinks about having to do it while soaking wet. Her turn ends, and she accuses Hiroto of setting up the sprinkler, but Hiroto says it was just a coincidence. She feels the other students staring at her, and she gets embarrassed, telling them all to stop looking, but this ends up causing her to lose the game, and her star gets transferred to Hiroto. At that moment, a butler calls out to Hiroto, informing him that Headmistress Natsumi wanted to see him. He goes to her office, and Natsumi tells him he made quite the mess, saying he broke an important rule. She claims he used underhanded methods to defeat the student of another academy, which usually isn't an issue, but she reveals that his opponent achieved the highest entrance exam score in her academy, and as the top student on the island, she has never lost before. She is from the Saionji family, who are the founders of the Academy Island, and her grandfather Masamune is the current head director of the island, so she is considered as a VIP. Natsumi reveals Hiroto barely passed the entrance exam, which gives him a very low status, but he ended up defeating Sarsa, so this could offend Masamune. She claims the director would do anything to protect his family's name, but she suggests the academy can save him by turning him into a 7-star student. Natsumi explains that if Sarsa was defeated by another 7-star student, Masamune wouldn't be as upset, but Hiroto says he doesn't deserve the status, because he's only at 1 star. However, Natsumi tells him to look at his star, and he realizes that it's red, which is strange because it's supposed to be white. Natsumi explains that it's a special star, which allows the holder to tell one lie about anything, so she asks him to use that lie to turn himself into a fake 7-star student. Natsumi further explains that not many people are aware of the red star's effect, but she knows about it because she used to have one in her possession. Natsumi reveals her plan is to make him look like a genius who made it to 7 stars on his first day, but she also gives him the option to leave the academy instead. Hiroto thinks about his goal to find a certain someone, so he ends up choosing to go along with her plan. Back in the present, Natsumi laughs at Hiroto, calling his speech the perfect psychological scam. She has arranged a dorm for him, giving him the location, so he immediately leaves to go there. While on his way, Sarsa drags him into an alley, saying he heard his speech, so she wonders what he's up to. Sarsa thinks he's planning to reveal her secret, so she begs him to stop, saying she has her reasons for lying. Hiroto has no idea what she's talking about, but Sarsa tells him not to play dumb, as she reveals that she isn't the real Sarsa. She has been acting as Sarsa's double at the academy, and her real name is Rina. Rina thinks her secret is out because he took the red star from her, saying the holder of the red star gets to know the lie of the previous holder, but Hiroto says he didn't know her secret until she told it to him. He admits that he's a total noob, but Rina doesn't believe him because he already has 7 stars. Hiroto tells her he's been using the red star to lie about this, and that he's actually at the lowest rank, but he also has his reasons for lying. This makes Rina surprised, as she realizes that he only won their game by accident, and that she just revealed her secret to him. But Hiroto is also surprised, since she isn't really the granddaughter of the director, so there was no reason for him to lie about being a 7-star student. He arrives at his dorm, which is revealed to be a mansion, and a girl named Yuki welcomes him inside. She introduces herself as his new assistant, saying she'll be staying in that house. Yuki reveals she doesn't like Natsumi, and Hiroto can relate to her, so she thinks they'll be able to get along. She secretly gives him a detailed explanation about the island, revealing that there are 20 academies on the island, and they get ranked every year. The academy receives benefits depending on its ranking, which is determined by the number of stars its students have. She explains that students with 5 stars are considered advanced students, and the more advanced students an academy has, the higher it will rank. And an academy with a 7-star student will almost certainly reach the top rank, which is why 7-star students are being targeted by everyone on the island. She shows him the game results of Rina, but she knows it would be impossible for Hiroto to replicate such a record, because Rina was able to use level 7 abilities, whereas he can only use level 1 abilities because his true rank is only 1 star, which puts him at a disadvantage against the other players. However, Yuki says the company will help him win games, as long as he continues to act like a 7-star student. She shows him the game requests, and he is surprised to see that he already has 42. She helps him pick an opponent, saying he needs to make an impression, because there are people who are still doubting his abilities. Hiroto wonders how he's going to win, and she tells him they're going to cheat, telling him to wear an earpiece. The company's head of electronics, Kagaya, uses it to communicate with him, and Yuki reveals that Kagaya is a hacker, so she can hack his opponent's device to give Hiroto the advantage. Hiroto calls it a sneaky tactic, and Yuki says it goes against the rules, but he is determined to do whatever it takes to be the strongest, so he chooses to go along with the plan. The next day, he defeats his opponent with the company's help, and he walks to the alley, thinking it was too easy. He realizes how reliable they are, so he now believes in the company. Later, we see Hiroto walking around the campus when the company informs him about a favorable game request from a student named Haru. He goes to an arena where the announcer introduces Haru and Hiroto to everyone. Rina is welcomed as the special guest, and Haru challenges Hiroto to an anything-goes 100-meter race, saying he'll never beat her speed. She brings out her bike, which Rina thinks is her secret weapon, because vehicle performance is the key to winning the game, but Hiroto is still on foot, so everyone wonders what he's thinking. We learn players are able to bring 3 abilities to a game, and Hiroto hopes she didn't pick the Nullify Interference ability, but Haru reveals she is using it, saying his abilities are now useless. They begin the game, and Haru's vehicle dashes to the finish line, but it suddenly comes to a stop, launching her into the air. She is saved as a foam softens her landing, and Hiroto claims he has seen through her strategy. we learn that Yuki advised him to use 3 disable abilities to counter the opponent's nullify interference, saying he needs 3 disable abilities because his level is too low. As Hiroto walks past Haru, he claims he used a level 7 disable ability to counter her nullification and then used a force stop ability to stop her bike. But in reality, it was Kagaya's hacking skills that stopped the bike. He also lies about using a protection ability to soften her landing, when it was really Kagaya who did this, and he crosses the finish line, allowing him to win the game. After the match, Rina approaches him, telling him she's going to beat him, as she gives him a note, telling him to meet her afterwards. Before he goes there, he tells Yuki to stop listening for a while, so she disables the monitoring, telling him to be careful. He meets up with Rina in a secluded cafe, and he asks her about her secret. Rina reveals that the real Sarsa was kidnapped over a year ago, but the kidnapper didn't have any demands. Since she was Sarsa's friend, she was asked to take her place to see what move the kidnapper would make. She reveals that the children of the Sailanji family almost never go outside until they reach high school, so friends are provided for them, and she happened to be chosen as one of them. Because of this, the public doesn't know Sarsa's real face, and it was easy for Rina to take her place. She doesn't know when the real Sarsa would return, but she wants to protect Sarsa's reputation until then, asking Hiroto to help protect her secret. Rina doesn't want Hiroto to lose, because the holder of the red star will learn about her secret. She adds that Natsumi is protecting her because she is convinced that she's the real Sarsa, and this makes Hiroto realize that he would get kicked out of the island if her secret comes out. He tells her about the childhood friend he's looking for, saying she is somewhere on the island, so he can't get kicked out until he finds her. With their goals aligned, they decide to form an alliance, and they exchange IDs to stay in touch. The next day, he comes across Rina, and they act smug toward each other, when suddenly, they see a strange man laughing as he looks down on them. The man jumps down, introducing himself as Kugasaki, and he addresses Sarsa as his goddess. He challenges Hiroto to a game, wanting to see what he's truly made of, and Hiroto agrees to accept on the condition that the loser can never bother Sarsa again. Kugasaki doesn't like the bet, but Hiroto calls him a chicken. Kugasaki says he isn't afraid of anything, as he reveals he is more than just a 5-star student, but also the leader of the Holy Knight Brigade. So he agrees to the condition, setting the game to take place in 2 days' time. The next day, we see Hiroto and Rina meeting while in disguise. Rina thanks him for standing up for her, but he says he was just protecting his own lie. Rina reminds him that their lies are now linked, so they head back to Hiroto's house for a strategy meeting. Yuki greets them, but Rina is surprised to see her. We learn that Yuki actually used to serve her, and she's one of the few people that know her secret. Yuki goes on to explain the game that Kugasaki has proposed. It's a game where you collect cards and compete for numbers. There are 2 phases to the game. The first phase is collection, where players must search for cards numbered from 0 to 19 that are scattered around the district. 5 cards will be placed randomly at the start, and then after every 5 minutes, a new card location is revealed. At the end of the phase, players select 5 of their cards to form a hand. The second phase is the reveal, where players compare cards one by one, and the higher number wins. Yuki also notes that in the history of the game, there has never been a record of someone with 1 star winning the game. Hiroto wonders how that can be possible, and Rina reminds him of the ability she used to reduce his time in their game. It allowed her to manipulate numerical values in a game, and she says that even if he got the number 19, Kugasaki could use the ability to make his number worth 30, so Yuki estimates that he has less than a 1% chance of winning. Hiroto thinks Yuki must have a way to help him win, and she reveals the trick to winning is during the collection phase. If they can obstruct his movements to buy time, and make a hand that will win even if after the numerical adjustment ability, then Hiroto has a chance. Rina notes that Kugasaki always uses the emergency mobilization ability, which allows him to summon another player to help him, and they are also able to contribute 1 ability. So when all the summoned players all use the same ability, Kugasaki is able to summon his army of 300 simps from his Holy Knight Brigade. They also know that for his third ability, Kugasaki has an indigo star, which gives him the Black Wings ability that Rina mentions he always likes to use. The game begins the next day, and thanks to using the luck ability, Hiroto starts near 2 of the higher numbers. He plans his route, planning to grab the 14 first. As he runs, he notes that the 17 is quite far away, but Yuki tells him the company has hacked a bus to help him get there. They receive a notification that Kugisaki has picked up his first card, but Hiroto finds it strange because the cards being displayed haven't changed. Yuki thinks he must have found a card that was yet to be revealed, meaning he's using a different ability from what they predicted. Hiroto realizes that instead of using the numerical manipulation ability, Kugisaki plans to collect all of the cards instead. At that moment, Kugisaki interrupts his call, revealing his Black Wings ability allows him to transmit his voice from far away, and claims he has already won. After 5 minutes into the game, the next card location is meant to be revealed, but nothing appears, because it was the mystery card that Kugisaki already picked up. Hiroto realizes Kugisaki planned to find all the cards before they're revealed, planning to collect 18 out of the 20 cards, and secure his victory during the collection phase. As Hiroto rushes to his card, Yuki notes that their bus was stopped by Kugisaki's army. Yuki starts to lose hope, but Hiroto refuses to give up. He manages to get number 14, but he wonders how he'll be able to make it to 17 before Kugisaki gets to it. At that moment, Haru suddenly appears, saying Natsumi helped her get a permit, so she's allowed to give him a ride. Hiroto looks for the 17, and Yuki tells him it's on the 3rd floor. He ends up finding it, but it's in the middle of the air. He manages to stretch out and grab it, but he ends up falling down, barely managing to survive. Meanwhile, we see Kugisaki has collected most of the other cards, so things are looking bad for Hiroto. Hiroto thinks he needs to get one more card, but Rina suddenly appears, saying he needs to get medical attention. But Hiroto thinks about his childhood friend, refusing to give up, and he wants to protect Rina as well. As he tries to leave, Rina reveals she lied about Sarsa. She lied about her being kidnapped, because in reality, she just wanted to experience a normal life, so Rina only made it look like she was kidnapped. She tells him to just give up, saying she will take the blame for everything, but knowing she's doing it all for the sake of her friend, he calls her his type, telling her to keep up her act for a little longer. Yuki arrives, worried about him, and she mentions Kugisaki has already collected the other 18 cards, so it looks like it's all over for Hiroto, but he still doesn't give up, thinking of a way to turn the tables. Hiroto asks if there's an ability that allows you to change the rules of a game. Yuki mentions the rule breaker ability, but says it's only available to students that are 6 stars or above. Hiroto gets an idea, saying the important thing is that it exists. They arrive at the arena for the reveal phase, and Kugisaki thinks he's already won since Hiroto doesn't have enough cards to win 3 rounds. Kugisaki tells him to just give up, so Hiroto discards his card, admitting defeat. The announcer is about to call the game, but Hiroto suddenly stops her. He asks Kugisaki about the condition to end the game, which is if both players run out of cards, then the game will end. Hiroto tells him to read the rules closer, and using his screen glitch ability, the rules now say that if either player runs out of cards, the game will end. Kugisaki thinks Hiroto must have used the rule breaker ability to change the rules, and since he no longer has any cards, the reveal phase is over, and they draw with 0 points each, essentially restarting the game. Kugisaki discards his hand, but reminds Hiroto he still doesn't stand a chance against his army of simps. However, Hiroto declares his victory, as he reveals he only discarded 1 card. Kugisaki thinks it doesn't matter, because the game will still be a draw based on the rules, but Hiroto reveals he didn't actually change the rules. He plays his card, and since Kugisaki no longer has any cards, Hiroto is declared the winner. After the game, Hiroto gets treated for his injury, and Rina comes to visit him. She thinks he has been hiding his real abilities, admitting she wouldn't have been able to win if she were in the same position. She wonders what he meant when he called her his type, but Hiroto is suddenly on the phone. He wonders what she was saying, making her embarrassed, but she is glad everything worked out. Hiroto says it was a piece of cake, calling himself the strongest 7-star student, but Rina calls him the biggest liar. Yuki meets up with Natsumi, who asks her about Hiroto's rank. Yuki thinks he is still at 1 star, because he can't gain new stars as a fake 7-star student, but Natsumi tells her she's wrong, revealing he's already at 2 stars. She explains that when a unique star holder is defeated, the star is always taken away, so when Hiroto defeated Kugisaki, he was able to acquire the Indigo Star. She thinks that Hiroto could become an all-color 7-star student by defeating more unique star holders, saying he demonstrated his skills in the last game. Natsumi states that Hiroto will face greater danger if he keeps gaining unique stars, but Yuki tells her not to worry because she will stay by her master's side. Yuki transfers to their academy, and the teacher informs everyone about the all-campus elimination battle. She explains that during the event, the students can participate in mock games, where they can challenge anyone regardless of rank, and stars will not be exchanged. However, if they are defeated, they will be eliminated from the event, saying the last man standing will be crowned as the winner. She explains that the event will determine who will be representing their academy in the upcoming contest between academies, saying the top 5 players will be chosen, so she wants everyone to do their best. During their break, Yuki warns Hiroto that he will be at a disadvantage during the event because he is a 7-star student, so everyone will want to challenge him. She explains that a challenger can simply approach a student and issue a challenge, which will automatically be accepted. This will place the participants in a state of conflict, where no student can issue a challenge to either of them until a winner is decided, but if the state of conflict continues for 24 hours without a game taking place, they will be eliminated. Yuki tells him that he must not lose, because he needs to keep his spot as the strongest player, so she advises him to stay away from other players during the event. A third-year student named Noah suddenly approaches them, and Hiroto asks her what she wants. She asks them if they're dating, and they deny this, so she clings to Hiroto, telling him it's his chance to snuggle with her. Hiroto tells her to get to the point, so she tells him about the elimination battle predicted rankings, where she is close to the top, but Hiroto has the number 1 spot. Hiroto doesn't seem to care, and she bids him farewell, thanking him for spending time with her. Yuki warns him to be wary of her, because she's one of the 3 6-star students in the academy, and Yuki even gets a bad feeling when she's around her. Hiroto goes to Natsumi's office, where she tells Hiroto that they are currently faced with 2 issues. The first issue is that there are outside forces getting involved in the upcoming event, and they seem to be after Hiroto, since he's the 7-star student. While the second issue has something to do with the unique stars, as she explains that each academy has one, but the unique star in their possession, the green star, has been stolen. They were planning to use it as the prize for the event, and she reveals that the green star has the power to affect perception, so she doesn't know what the thief could do with it. Natsumi doesn't know if the 2 issues are connected, but she thinks it's possible that they were done by the same person, and she asks for Hiroto's help to root out the culprit, thinking he's going to be targeted during the event. She wants him to stay alive during the contest, so that he can expose the culprit and recover the green star. Natsume also wants him to score a decisive victory, so that he can keep his position as the strongest on Academy Island. During the first day of the event, Hiroto and Yuki realize that he is being targeted by everyone, so they go into hiding, as Yuki thinks about disabling their ability to track his location, and blocking their challenge requests with some basic jamming. Later that day, Hiroto receives a message from Noah, thinking that their jamming didn't work. A girl challenges him to play with her, as Hiroto wonders if Noah is targeting him directly. Hiroto accepts the challenge, and he ends up winning the game. Hiroto tells Yuki that he is worried about Noah, thinking he'll have to face her at the end of the event. Yuki agrees with him, saying they won't be able to avoid her, so she calls for Kagaya, who tells Hiroto that he's going to have a hard time running away with the programs they have, so she wrote a new device ability. She overlapped Hiroto's location with Yuki's, so that she will receive the challenges instead of him. The next day, Yuki defeats a player who is after Hiroto, as he runs and hides from the other students. While hiding, he receives a call from Yuki, telling him that they're in trouble, because 200 students are making their way to his location. Hiroto tries to escape from them, but he suddenly bumps into Noah, and he falls on top of her, as Kagaya wonders why she's there, because there was no signal a second ago. Yuki catches up to Hiroto, as Noah clings to him, stopping him from running away. The other students are closing in, so Yuki sends Hiroto a challenge request, preventing them from challenging him. Noah is disappointed because they were able to escape, but she tells Hiroto that she was able to achieve her number 1 goal. Hiroto wonders what she meant, but she plays dumb, and she starts running away. They return to the mansion, where Yuki prepares a cutlet for Hiroto, but she realizes that they have no sauce, so she leaves for the store to buy it. Hiroto waits for her to return, but after an hour, he receives a call from Yuki's number. He answers the call, and he hears Noah's voice, telling him that she bumped into his maid. She gives the phone to Yuki, who tells him that she won't be able to return home. Hiroto wonders if Noah did something to her, but Yuki tells him that she can't answer that question, and she reminds him that they're in a state of conflict, telling him that he shouldn't try to win during their game tomorrow. Noah assures him that she didn't do anything to Yuki, and she ends the call. Hiroto tells Rina about the situation, so she becomes upset, saying she won't forgive Noah for kidnapping Yuki. Hiroto thinks there might be someone else involved, and Rina wonders how they can win without Yuki's help. At that moment, Kaguya joins them, and Hiroto informs her about the situation, saying they need to come up with a way to save Yuki. Kaguya shows them the game they'll be playing, which is a card game where each player will be using 10 cards. Each card has a value, and whoever plays the higher card gets to collect both cards. When all cards have been played, the player who collects more cards wins. Each player starts with 10 cards, and with one bonus card on the board, there's a total of 21 cards in the game. Kaguya shows them a chart to explain the value of the cards, and Hiroto immediately notices the commoners, because they're too weak, so Kaguya explains that commoners have special skills to make up for their weakness. At that moment, Hiroto receives a message from Yuki, which lists the abilities she'll be using for the game. One of the abilities mentioned is Force Control, which will allow Yuki to control his moves for the first 3 turns. Kaguya is sad because Yuki isn't there to come up with a strategy, but Rina says she'll take care of it, claiming she's also good at developing strategies. She predicts that after the 3rd turn, her lead over him will be devastating, so she suggests using the enchant ability to give a commoner the ability to turn the game around. Kaguya leaves to make preparations for the game, as Hiroto remembers how Yuki told him that he shouldn't try to win, which is really bothering him. As Hiroto lies on his bed, Rina decides to stay over, saying she can't return to her place because it's past her curfew. She appears to be nervous, so Hiroto tells her that she can sleep in a different room, but she tells him that she doesn't want to be alone because she'll feel anxious. Hiroto turns off the lights, but neither of them can fall asleep, so they start talking about the island, and Rina gives him an ability card, which allows him to install a rare ability called Pinch Hitter. She tells him to use it when he sees the chance, as she reveals that she believes in him, saying even Noah will have a hard time against him. Meanwhile, Noah is reading a message, and we learn that she's working with someone to target Hiroto. She seems to dislike Hiroto because of the speech he delivered when he first arrived at the academy, so she's determined to beat him. Hiroto and Yuki are making their way to the venue of their game when they stumble upon Noah, who decides to watch their game. They sit together in a room where they start their game. Yuki activates the abilities she told Hiroto about, allowing her to control his cards during the first 3 turns. She starts by killing one of his commoner cards, allowing her to collect the bonus card. Then she activates a commoner's skill, allowing her to remove one of Hiroto's cards from the game, but she wastes it on another commoner. During the 3rd turn, she kills his king using her commoner, allowing her to collect 7 cards. Hiroto immediately realizes that something is wrong because Yuki appears to be going easy on him. He speculates that Yuki is guiding him because there's something wrong with their game. He thinks about how Yuki told him that he shouldn't try to win, but it's obvious that she's not trying to win either, so he concludes that she wants the game to end in a draw. He tells Kaguya to abort the operation, and he activates the Afterthought ability, which allows him to see Yuki's next move. Hiroto learns that she'll be using a knight, but he uses an assassin card, causing him to lose that turn. This makes Noah confused, wondering why he's playing like that, as he intentionally loses in the succeeding turns. During the last turn, the effect of the Afterthought ability wears off, and Yuki is left with the Queen and Assassin cards, as he tells her that he's holding onto a commoner card. He uses the card, thinking it's all over if she plays the Assassin, but he believes in Yuki, so he is confident that she's going to use the Queen. He is right about Yuki, so his commoner ends up losing, but its ability is activated, allowing him to collect half of the cards in her collection. They both end up with 10 cards, causing the game to end in a draw. Noah isn't happy with the result, and she is about to walk away, but Hiroto grabs onto her, telling her to confess, because he knows that she's been targeting him. Noah tries to deny this, but Yuki reveals that she has an illegal spying ability on her phone, which was installed by Noah. We learn that this was installed the previous night, and she used it to manipulate Yuki into doing what she did. Yuki explains that the ability would have transferred to the winner if she lost, as she continues to expose Noah's wrongdoings. Noah throws a tantrum, saying she works so hard to set everything up, as she accuses Hiroto of using dirty tricks to reach the top. Noah reminds Hiroto about the elimination battle predicted rankings, revealing there was a survey before that, where the students were asked who will become the school's ace. Noah was at the top spot back then, but as soon as Hiroto entered the school, he immediately surpassed her. This caused Noah to fall into despair, because she tried so hard to build herself up, only for Hiroto to take the #1 spot in an instant, so she decided to get her revenge. During her exposition, Noah slips up and mentions that she made a deal with someone. Hiroto inquires about this, but she tells them that she has a backup plan, saying the ability she installed will delete the data on Yuki's device with the press of a button, and if her data is deleted, she won't be able to stay on the Academy Island. But Yuki warns her that everyone on the island will turn on her if they learn about her illegal ability. Noah suddenly rushes to Yuki, and she quickly ties her up, taking her as a hostage. She tells Hiroto that if he wants Yuki to stay, he must lose to her in a game and give her all of his stars, saying she knows that everything about him is a lie. Hiroto wonders why she knows so much, thinking the green star must have enhanced her perception. She challenges him to a treasure hunt, and Hiroto ends up accepting this. They start playing the game, as Noah calls Hiroto, asking him if his partner is hiding on the 3rd floor or below. Hiroto wonders why she asked him a question, not knowing about the rules of the game, so Noah tells him that he can use the question command once per turn, to ask a yes or no question, explaining that he will lose if he lies. Hiroto tells her the answer is no, so she proceeds with her move, saying they can move 3 spaces each turn. Noah moves 1 space, and she ends her turn, but she reveals that she's using an ability called double action, which allows her to have 2 turns in a row. She asks him another question, asking him if his partner is hiding on the 5th floor or above. He tells her the answer is no, so she knows that his partner is on the 4th floor, and she moves another space, wanting to toy with Hiroto. During his turn, Hiroto uses his delay ability, extending the time for his turn, then he contacts his partner, who is revealed to be Rina in disguise. They discuss the rules of the game, and we learn that their goal is to find the opponent's partner, who is hiding in one of the rooms. There are 4 commands available each turn, which are question, move, answer, and retreat. The first 2 commands were used by Noah, and the third option, answer, is used for opening the locked door when they are in front of the room, but this consumes one of the 3 answer points that they are given at the beginning of the game. The retreat command allows their partner to move to another room, so that their opponent won't be able to find them, but this also consumes an answer point. Rina wonders what Hiroto plans to do, because if he wins, Yuki won't be able to stay on the island, but if he loses, it's all over for him. Hiroto seems to have a plan, knowing they can't win in a fair fight, because Noah is using illegal abilities, so they will have to play dirty. The game continues, as he receives a call from Kagaya, who tells him that she can't interfere, because Noah used an area barrier ability on the whole school. She knows that they can use the device sensing program to find the right room, but it must be done by someone inside, someone who can reprogram one of the devices. Rina is able to do it, and she reveals Yuki's location, so Hiroto asks Noah if Yuki is in that room. Noah confirms this, wondering if he used a cheat, but he denies this, and moves closer to Yuki. Noah decides to take him seriously, as she correctly guesses his partner's location. She moves closer to Rina's room, and she uses the retreat command to move Yuki to a different room. The signal from Yuki's device is lost, as she reveals that she had to cut off all access to her device. She starts walking to another room, and Hiroto tells her that it's going to get really cold at 10 p.m., so she should try to keep the room warm. Hiroto tells Rina that Noah appears to be reading his moves, thinking it must be because of the green stars effect, but he knows that she makes mistakes when someone else becomes involved in his moves, so he will need Rina's help to defeat her. Hiroto uses an answer point to move Rina to another room, and thanks to Rina's critical thinking skills, they were able to figure out Yuki's hiding spot. This makes Noah upset, so she thinks about making Yuki's next hiding spot random. Noah figures out which floor Rina is on, and she gets closer to her location. Rina thinks they're in a tight spot, but Hiroto reveals that he has set something up, saying he has figured out a way to end the game. However, he is worried that it might not work out, because Noah's third ability is still unknown. Hiroto decides to kill time during his turns, saying it will help them find where Yuki is hiding. Noah and Hiroto use their second answer point to make their partners retreat, leaving them with 1 point each. Hiroto stalls for time, and at exactly 10 p.m., Rina sends Yuki's location to him, which is close to his current location. Noah wonders how Hiroto found out, so he tells her that he gave a message to Yuki, ordering her to turn on the air conditioning at 10 p.m. He reveals that Rina is in the staff room, so she can monitor which air conditioner is turned on. Hiroto uses his last answer point to open the door to Yuki's room, but Noah tells him that the game isn't over yet, because her third ability allows her to alter fate, and she uses it to invalidate Hiroto's answer. She quickly makes her way to the staff room, where she finds Rina, thinking she has finally won against Hiroto, but Rina removes her disguise, telling Noah that she's too weak to defeat Hiroto. She states that Noah really won the game, but at that moment, Hiroto and Yuki arrive, revealing that they used the pinch hitter ability card to switch places, so the player she beat was actually Yuki. Yuki reminds Noah about the illegal spying ability, saying it will now transfer to Noah's phone because she won against her, so she can no longer take Yuki as a hostage. Noah falls to her knees, utterly defeated, and then starts telling them how she got onto the island thanks to her intellectual ability. But when she entered the academy, she realized that everyone is from a good lineage. Because of this, she had a hard time blending in, so she worked really hard to be the top student, wanting to become special, but Hiroto took that away from her. She reveals she made a deal with a man named Mikado, who is the headmaster of the Seijo Academy. Mikado told her to use cheats to take the stars from Hiroto, and she didn't defy him because she knows that she's no match for him. She thinks she's going to get expelled, so she apologizes for her actions, saying nobody can defeat Mikado, but Hiroto tells her he's the strongest on the island, and he says he will help her. Noah returns to Mikado, who disparages her for failing in her mission, despite the illegal abilities he gave her. He wants her to pay him back for everything, telling her to be his slave, but Hiroto suddenly appears. Mikado is surprised to see a drone recording him, and Hiroto reveals that thousands of people are watching them, so he realizes that he has been exposed. The next day, Natsumi announces that Mikado has been taken down, and that the all-campus elimination battle has reached its final stage. She reveals that Hiroto and Noah will fight to determine the Academy's ace for the inter-academy battle, but Noah says she doesn't want to fight, because she is ashamed of what she has done, so she decides to withdraw from the contest. However, Hiroto tells her that it was all Mikado's fault, as he shows her the results of a survey, which reveals that almost everyone has chosen to forgive her. He goes on to lecture her about how special she is, and he decides to withdraw from the contest, allowing her to earn the top spot. Natsumi announces the Academy's representatives for the inter-academy battle, revealing that Yuki is one of them, and two 6-star students named Shinji and Mia are also part of the team. Hiroto earns his spot as the second placer in the recent contest, and Noah will be serving as the Academy's ace. After some time, we see Hiroto walking around the city with Rina, as he reveals that Noah gave him the green star. Rina takes him to the ability shop, where only couples are allowed to enter. She reveals that this is where she bought the pinch hitter ability, but they need to follow the rule to enter the shop, so she wants him to pretend to be her lover. The shopkeeper greets them, and Rina tells her that Hiroto is her boyfriend, but the shopkeeper isn't convinced, because they aren't holding hands. Rina is flustered, and Hiroto tells her that they just need to get it over with, offering his hand to her. But she just gives him a handshake, and the shopkeeper tells them that it's enough, showing them the abilities she's selling. The following day, the Academy's representatives discuss their strategy for the inter-academy battle. Yuki reveals that the game is called Astral, and it allows up to 100 players. The game lasts for 5 days, with 2 periods for each day, and it's going to take place in District 0, which is located at the center of the island. The game field is divided into 1 million spaces, and there are bases scattered around, which the players can capture to expand their team's area. The bases release skills known as spells, which the players can use, but after using the spell, the player won't be able to perform an action for a period of time, which will depend on his movement value. There are 5 positions in the game, and the goal is to dominate the entire area, or eliminate the other teams, but when the timer expires, the team with the largest area wins. A player is eliminated when he loses all 5 of his life points, which are replenished at the end of each period, and a team is eliminated when it runs out of players or loses all of its area. Yuki adds that there will be an optional card game during the inter-academy battle, and the top prize is a wild card, which will allow a sixth player to join a team in the game. They check out their movement values, and we learn that there are 25 levels, with the lower levels considered as superior. Hiroto has a movement value of 3, but this is revealed to be a lie, as Kagaya bugged the display, revealing that his real value is 19. It is time for the representatives to pick their positions, and Hiroto wants to be the commander because its movement value is fixed at 25, so he'll be able to hide his real value. Mia wants to be the soldier because she has good reflexes, so she will be able to lead the attack against the enemies. While Noa prefers to be the spy, saying she is good at sneaking around and setting traps. Hiroto is about to pick the commander, but Shinji beats him to it, claiming that he will make a better commander for the team. Hiroto tells Shinji about the commander's ability to trade places with another player, saying he will serve as the commander first, then give Shinji the position if he isn't happy with the results. He agrees to this, but says he will take the position if Hiroto doesn't defeat 3 other commanders in 3 days. That evening, Hiroto receives a call from Rina, telling him that they're in trouble because another Sarsa has appeared. They watch a video together, as Hiroto realizes that the other Sarsa looks just like Rina. The doppelganger claims that she is the real empress, and she challenges Sarsa to play a game where they must defeat Hiroto to win. She says that the game will determine who the real empress is, saying Hiroto gets to decide what happens to her if neither of them wins. They think that Mikado is behind this, because he knows that Rina helped Hiroto during the all-campus battle. After some time, Hiroto begs Kagaya to help him, because he knows that he's going to have a hard time when Astral begins. Yuki reveals that he could end up losing a star if their team doesn't perform well, which could mean the end for him. Kagaya says that the company will help by providing information during the game, and Yuki wonders which abilities Hiroto will be using. He reveals that he'll be using the Indigo and Green Star abilities, but he's still thinking about the third ability. Yuki tells him that she will use an ability called Replacement, which allows players to exchange abilities, thinking it could prove to be useful. Hiroto is on the phone with Rina, who tells him that the students in her academy are staring at her, so she won't be able to talk to him during the game. He tells her not to lose, saying he is rooting for her, and after their call, Hiroto calls another number, saying he needs help with something. On the first day of Astral, the team arrives at the venue, and the announcer, Kazami, tells them that the game will be held in augmented reality. The game begins, as Shinji shows them their first base, explaining that they need to capture neutral bases to expand their area. Yuki occupies a base, but she realizes that she can't perform other actions, because she needs to wait for the timer to expire before the base is captured. Yuki realizes that it takes a long time to occupy, and they decide to check the timer for the other actions. Noa notes that the timer is short if they perform an ability, and Hiroto observes that their movement value drops when they're in their area, so they can gain the advantage by occupying more bases. He reveals the location of 2 nearby bases, and they decide to go for the one to the east. After the first day ends, the team has dinner, and they encounter Kugasaki, who tells them that his team will crush them. Yuki reveals that Kugasaki's team is composed of simps, and she considers them as one of the greatest threats. She goes on to tell him about Toya, the holder of the Black Star, who is notorious for his violent tactics, as Shinji reveals that people have left the island after playing with him. Shinji tells them about a girl named Senri, advising them to run if they bump into her, because she has an ability that can eliminate players in one hit. But Yuki thinks that the greatest threat is Rina's doppelganger, revealing that Mikado's academy can't participate because of the scandal, and the doppelganger took his slot to enter the game. Hiroto encounters a girl named Shina, who is trying to reach for something, so he helps her out, and she reveals that she is a participant of the optional card game. They play games together, and they are able to catch a toy, which she now considers as her familiar. Shina falls asleep, so he takes her to her room, and he notices that it's a mess, wondering why she didn't have dinner at the buffet, but she tells him that she doesn't want to go there. The next day, Hiroto's group encounters another team, but the team leader wants to form an alliance with them. However, Mia suddenly attacks, leaving them with no choice but to eliminate the enemy. Later that day, Shinji inquires about her motive, saying they were able to win, but he had to protect her because of her reckless actions. He reveals that he once lost to a weaker team because of this, so he reminds her to take the game seriously, but Mia becomes upset and she runs off as Hiroto realizes that their teamwork is terrible. We see a man meeting up with his teammates, but he suddenly attacks them, wiping them out, and we learn that this is the work of the doppelganger. Yuki informs everyone about this, so Hiroto thinks that they should understand how her ability works, because she can copy the appearance of anyone. Mia is worried that she could deceive them, so Hiroto suggests that they should stick together. We see Hiroto in Shina's room, and she reveals that she does nothing but play. So he wonders if she goes to school, but she tells him that she doesn't, saying she doesn't want to talk to people. He goes to Rina's room, and they start talking about the doppelganger. Rina is worried that the players would stop trusting each other, causing the teams to self-destruct. Hiroto tells her that his team is vulnerable to this, and he mentions the bet he made with Shinji, saying he needs to defeat 2 commanders on the 3rd day. But he reveals that he has a plan, which will allow them to win the game. On the 3rd day, Mia walks ahead of the team, saying she is leading the way because she is the best fighter, but Shinji thinks she's being careless, so they start to argue. A dark fog suddenly surrounds them, and they are unable to see their surroundings. When the fog clears, Shinji becomes suspicious of Mia, asking her personal questions to confirm her identity, but this makes her angry. After the mourning period ends, Mia tells them that she no longer wants to play, and Shinji says he needs to clear his head, so he also won't be playing. They are left with 3 members, and Kagaya informs Hiroto that they are surrounded by 2 teams, but he comes up with a plan. They encounter Senri's group, and Hiroto's teammates chase the other team away. Senri thinks that he doesn't stand a chance, but he claims that he can beat all of them. A magic blast defeats one of her teammates, as Yuki suddenly appears, revealing that she never went with Noah. Hiroto wonders if Senri can still use her one-hit kill, but she suddenly uses it, so Yuki shields him, and she barely survives the attack. They start running away, and Senri realizes that Hiroto is using a spell to turn the battlefield to his advantage. Yuki reveals that she has a plan, telling him that he will have to trust her. She stops running away, so Senri uses her ability, but it ends up killing her teammate. Yuki reveals that she used an ability to redirect the attack, and this makes Senri upset. As she continues to chase after them, her teammate is caught in a trap, leading to her death. Hiroto tells her that Noah has the talent to read moves, and she placed traps in the area, knowing Senri's team would fall for it. Senri admits that his plan is impressive, but she tells him that it's flawed, because he has used too many spells, so he shouldn't have anything left. Her teammate uses a spell to restrain Yuki, and Senri thinks she has already won, but Hiroto reminds her that she can't use her ability without her teammates. Senri reveals that her ability is at its strongest when she's fighting alone, but she used an ability to restrict it and make it usable with her team. She decides to undo the restriction, killing her teammate, as she reveals that she is always stronger when she's alone. She unleashes her powers, launching an attack, but Hiroto manages to evade it, as he reveals that he used the Indigo Star's ability to fool her, and that he still has some spells in his personal slot. But Senri uses an interference ability, preventing him from taking any actions, and she decides to retreat. Hiroto wonders why she didn't finish him off, and Yuki thinks that she must have her own reasons. Noah reveals that she has wiped out the other team, but they wonder why their team's area hasn't increased. She tells Hiroto that the men were working with the doppelganger, so he thinks that Mikado is up to something. That evening, Shinji apologizes to Hiroto, saying he didn't really suspect Mia, but he wanted to make her leave the game because she doesn't respond well to cruelty. They realize that she is eavesdropping, and Shinji is embarrassed that she heard all of it. Hiroto shows them a video, revealing that the team Mia attacked was preparing to use magic on them. Shinji realizes that she had a good reason to charge in, but she thinks that it's all over for them, because Hiroto has been eliminated from the game. We learn that before the period ended, Hiroto told his friends to trust him, before taking himself out. Shinji wonders if he did this because he wanted to win the bet, but he tells them not to worry, because everything is going according to plan. Hiroto and Rina approach Kazami, and Hiroto tells her that they need her help to defeat the doppelganger. She reveals that the doppelganger is an unauthorized player, and she's using a forged account, but she seems to have an ally in the management committee, which explains why she's being allowed to play. Kazami thinks it will be a disaster if the doppelganger ends up winning, asking Hiroto and Rina to defeat her. Kazami helps Hiroto and his friends infiltrate the management by hiding them inside a box. She takes them to the control room, where she shows them the doppelganger's united army. Yuki reveals that players are helping the doppelganger because they are guaranteed the spot for second place if she wins. We learn that there are already 7 teams attached to her, and this includes the teams of Toya and Kudasaki. Hiroto suggests forming an alliance with the other academies, saying the doppelganger controls less than half of the total area, so they have a chance at winning if the teams band together. Yuki thinks the players will agree to this, because they don't want to lose a star if the doppelganger wins. Hiroto plans to stage a comeback to get the players fired up, so he thinks about playing the optional card game, so that he can get the wild card that will allow him to rejoin the game. Kazami tells him that he needs to defeat the final boss, who is revealed to be Shina. He enters the card game, and Kazami takes the form of a cat, informing him about the rules of the game. There are 3 cards numbered 1 to 9, and by adding these numbers, we get the familiar's level. The goal of the game is to defeat the enemy's familiar by raising its level to match the opponent's. Kazami explains that the card's levels can be raised by using Strengthen or Exchange, but Strengthen takes time, so it's faster to use Exchange, saying it's the easiest way to level up. It works by adding coins to the lower level cards, so that it can be traded for a better card. A man suddenly appears, but Hiroto can't even remember who he is. He reveals that his name is Yui, and that Hiroto's team eliminated him from Astral. He knows that Hiroto wants to return to the game, but he reveals that he is already close to finishing it, so Hiroto doesn't stand a chance. At that moment, Sanri's teammate approaches him, offering to exchange her number 4 card for his number 1 card. She reveals that she wants him to win, because she wants him to free Sanri from the doppelganger's influence, revealing that Sanri joined the United Army because she thinks her teammates are weak. Hiroto promises that he will defeat the doppelganger, and he bids her farewell. Hiroto visits a store, offering to exchange his number 1 card for a reward-up card. The shopkeeper wonders if he's gone nuts, because he can't complete the game if he doesn't have enough number cards. But when the shopkeeper checks the exchange rate between a 1 card and a reward-up, he realizes that it's a ridiculous amount. They push through with the deal, allowing Hiroto to earn plenty of coins, which he uses to exchange his cards. Hiroto makes excellent progress, planning to get all 3 of his number cards to 9. He encounters his schoolmates, who tell him that they have number 9 cards with them, offering to give it to him, because they want him to win for the academy. He thanks them for their help, and he is about to fight Shina, but he realizes that Yui has already challenged her. He uses his skills, raising his level to 33, but he still ends up losing. Hiroto makes his way to her, and he observes that she is overly confident, so he concludes that her level is negative. Shina reveals that her level is negative 99, so nobody stands a chance, but Kagaya uses her hacking skills to overwrite the data, setting Shina's level to 30, and Hiroto manages to defeat her. He wonders if she is the doppelganger, and she confirms this, saying they will meet again in Astral. Hiroto makes his way to the control room, where he announces that he has won the card game, so he will be returning to Astral. He informs everyone about Shina, saying she isn't even a real player, and the admins just threw her in to mess with them. He proposes forming an alliance, so that they can match Shina's united army, knowing they will all lose stars if she ends up winning. The players accept his proposal, and they form an alliance with 5 other academies. Hiroto returns to the game, and Yuki reveals that there are 20 players in their alliance, while Shina's united army only has 14. But they still think that the enemy team is stronger, because of players like Kudasaki and Sanri. Hiroto reveals that Shina is using illegal methods to manipulate the settings, giving her an unfair advantage over the other players, and she even has 999 life points. He thinks that Sanri's one-hit kill is the only way to defeat her, so they need to convince Sanri to help them. Hiroto's plan is to lure Sanri to the area, while Shinji and Noah capture their allies' base, so that they can fight Sanri in their territory. Hiroto encounters Sanri's group, and an enemy player tells them to surrender, but the enemies suddenly realize that they are now in Hiroto's territory, as Shinji captures the base. Noah and Shinji join the fight, as Mia attacks the enemies, eliminating Sanri's allies. Sanri is surrounded, but she decides to fight seriously, and she launches an attack, killing Hiroto's ally. Mia says that she will take care of Senri, telling Shinji to back her up. She charges in, as Senri tries to attack her, but the attack misses, as Shinji reveals that he used the lightning rod ability to make him the target, but the attack didn't land because he was out of range. She proceeds to attack Senri, who tries to stay out of her range, but she uses an ability to increase her attack range, and she manages to land a hit. Senri admits defeat, saying she is impressed with their teamwork. Hiroto tells her about her schoolmate, saying she isn't happy because Senri decided to join Shina, thinking her team isn't strong enough. Senri realizes that her teammates wanted to fight with her, as she recalls that she wouldn't be so successful without them. She wants Hiroto to finish her off, but he tells her that he needs her help. We see Toya's group, and we learn that they have just eliminated a group of players. They encounter Hiroto's team, and Mia immediately charges in, but Toya's companion, Shizuku, gets in her way. Toya activates his compound upgrade ability, revealing that it is used to combine two identical spells, but since he used it with his Black Stars ability, he can combine more spells to create devastating results. He summons an enormous sword called the Magic Blade, and he swings it at Hiroto, but Yuki shields him, protecting him from harm. Shinji tells Hiroto that he will buy time for them, and he starts fighting against Toya, but Toya's sword suddenly disappears, as Hiroto reveals that he just used the replacement ability, allowing him to use the Magic Blade. He uses it to attack the enemies, but they dodge it, as Shizuka tells him that it's pointless, because she has already seen the attack. However, Hiroto tells her that it's different when he's using it, because he's a 7-star student, and he summons an invisible magic blade, killing her instantly. He claims that he was able to do it by coming up with an incredible combination, but it was really just the company that modified the effect. Toya decides to fight seriously, as he starts wielding two swords. He manages to overpower Mia and Shinji, and he easily takes them out, thinking Hiroto is doomed, because he's already out of spells. Noah tries to fight Toya, but he quickly overwhelms her, and she is eliminated from the game. However, Toya is suddenly restrained, because Noah used a powerful revenge ability that activates when she is eliminated. He breaks the restraints by using an ability to surround himself with an invincible wall. Hiroto realizes that Toya has already used all of his abilities, but he thinks that it doesn't matter, because Hiroto will never break through his barrier. However, Kugisaki suddenly attacks Toya, as he reveals that he is the ultimate simp, so he is willing to do anything for his beloved Sarsa. We learn that Hiroto asked for Kugisaki's help even before the game started, and Toya realizes that it's over for him, so he decides to withdraw. Kugisaki finishes him off, but before his body disappears, he tries to shoot Hiroto, but Yuki takes the bullet for him, and she is eliminated from the game. Kugisaki reveals that Toya withdrew at the last second to save face, and he decides to do the same, telling Hiroto to protect Sarsa as he forfeits the game. Meanwhile, Rina struggles against Shina, but Senri suddenly appears, using her ability against Shina. Rina thinks that it's over, but Senri suddenly gets shot, and she dies in one hit. Rina falls into despair, thinking there's no way for them to defeat Shina, who is about to finish her off, but at that moment, the period comes to an end, and we learn that there are only 3 players left in the game. At the control room, Hiroto discusses the situation with his team, saying they have lost the war, because there is no way for them to defeat Shina. But he refuses to give up, saying they can win if they set up another game in Astral. While Hiroto is walking around the building, Shina approaches him, and he thinks that she's up to no good, but she just asks him to play with her. He wonders why she's acting like nothing's changed, so he asks her if she really is the doppelganger. Shina confirms this, and he wonders how she got involved in the situation. She reveals that she didn't want to go to high school, but she wanted to play the star-catching game, so she modded her device to install a special program and created her own account. This caught Mikado's attention, so he reached out to her, telling her that he could use her talent, and he invited her to join Astral, giving her a star that allows her to transform. She reveals that Mikado wanted her to be Sarsa's doppelganger, but she suddenly falls asleep. Hiroto realizes that Shina is just playing along, and she doesn't know about his dispute with Mikado, so Astral is just another game to her, but he knows that she will keep playing until the end. The next day, Hiroto tells Shina to return to her original form, saying it will make it easier to show off. She agrees to this, and Hiroto tells her that she is about to win Astral, but he reminds her about the video where she declared war against Sarsa. reminding her that she must defeat him to win that war. He explains that the result of Astral doesn't really matter, because he is the one that they must defeat, reminding Sheena that he gets to decide her fate if neither of them can defeat him. So Hiroto suggests playing another game called Crossboard, which is a turn-based game that works inside Astral. Sheena appears to be reluctant, so he tells her that this is similar to the star-catching game that she always wanted to play, saying he and Rina are the best players in that game. She ends up agreeing to this, and a stage is set for their final battle. Hiroto explains that the astral field is compressed into 100 spaces, and they lose the game if they lose all of their spaces. He reveals that whatever happens in Crossboard will also happen on the astral field, saying the one who defeats him will be crowned as the real empress. There are two types of flags they can place on the board, either Encroach or Conquer. Conquer immediately captures a selected space for the team, while Encroach takes the surrounding spaces when the next turn ends. Sheena proceeds to conquer Hiroto's area, leaving him with only 2 spaces, but he still chooses to encroach, surprising everyone. Rina thinks this is bad, because Sheena will win if she doesn't capture Hiroto's core base, so she decides not to conquer his area. But after her turn, she realizes that her spaces are being taken, and Hiroto thinks that Mikado is responsible for this. They suddenly see other players on the board, which are copies made using the same technology that Sheena uses to transform herself, so Hiroto concludes that Mikado is trying to expand Sheena's area by force. Hiroto notes that the situation looks bad, but he reveals that he also has something up his sleeves, as his area suddenly expands. We learn that Mia is still in the game, capturing bases for Hiroto, and Shinji is helping her by giving her advice. Meanwhile, Mikado wonders why Mia is still alive, so he checks the video where Toya took her out, and he realizes that Shinji used his lightning rod ability to save Mia. So he becomes upset, knowing things aren't going his way, but he thinks that it's going to be okay, because he can still count on Toya. However, Toya refuses to help him, saying Hiroto has already seen through his plan, so he no longer stands a chance. We return to the game, and we learn that Hiroto and Rina now have the advantage, but Sheena suddenly feels weird, as her body starts moving on its own, and she touches certain areas, conquering them in an instant. They realize that Mikado is cheating like a total noob, so Hiroto traces the ability, allowing him to contact Mikado. He tells Mikado to surrender, because his location has been exposed, but he thinks that Hiroto can't do anything while he's still in the game. However, Hiroto reminds him that he has teammates who aren't in the game, and Yuki suddenly breaks into his room, telling him that she knows about his evil deeds, but he isn't worried because she appears to be alone. Yuki gives the signal, and the other students appear, so he realizes that it's all over for him. Yuki takes control of Sheena, using her to conquer the areas for Hiroto. She ends up losing, and she wonders if she was doing something bad during their game. Kazami suddenly appears, asking her if the game was boring, but she reveals that she had fun, and Kazami is happy to hear this, saying she made the game interesting by acting as the doppelganger. Hiroto wins the game, and he returns to his teammates, who are impressed by how well he played, but he tells them that he couldn't have done it without them. Hiroto thinks about how everything he's gone through started because of a lie, but he thinks about all the people that he met because of it, and he's determined to keep it up until he finds the one that he's looking for. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.